So this next activity is going to be one that will help you become more emotionally aware. So we're going to be working with the page that says intuitive emotional wellness, and that lists of words that you see there. So emotional wellness, which again I'm guessing is why everybody's here, to learn a little bit about that. It begins with awareness. We can't really change something that we're not aware of, whether it be our emotional state or a problem in our life, in our family. Maybe there's something in our family life that's bothering us or challenging right now. And if we're not aware and clear about what that actually is, and how we feel about it, and what we need to feel better about it, then we can't really move on and get through that situation. So we're going to break it down using an example from your own life, just to show you how easy it is to tap into emotional awareness. Now, if you're like me, if you were taught this stuff, awesome. But most of us, I'm going to guess, weren't really taught to express our emotions. And you know, I grew up with very loving parents, but I was in a home that, you know, we didn't really talk about things that weren't going well. We just kind of brushed them under the carpet. You know, we just weren't comfortable talking about things that weren't working. And I was a highly sensitive child, so I could really feel and sense other people's energy when they were upset. I got upset. You know, it's called being an empath. You like pick up on other people's emotions, really, and you feel them like they're your own. And so a lot of the time when I would experience this, or just experience my own emotion from something, I would cry because I didn't know what else to do with all of that emotion. And I got a lot of like, you're too sensitive. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Anybody ever get that one? Right, and we laugh, but like how validating is that for a kid, right? Because I did have something to cry about. It wasn't nothing, you know, but I just didn't have adults in my life that were aware enough to help me work through it. And for my son especially, who really struggled to express himself at first, he needed somebody to help break it down for him and teach him, and that's how I learned emotional awareness, out of, like I said earlier, sheer survival, sheer necessity. It was for survival, but I wanted to connect with my son. And so I had to go in like overdrive to learn how to do this because I didn't know how to do it. And I'm like, you know, my mid-20s, early 30s, and I didn't know how to maturely express my emotions and help somebody else through their difficult emotions. It's an incredible skill that can take us so far in life. We can learn it, we can teach it, we can practice it, we can get better at it. It's like a muscle. So emotional awareness is based on the idea that we can only give to our families, to our partners, to our work. We can only give in a compassionate and loving way when we're receiving in a compassionate and loving way. Emotional awareness always needs to start with us first. We can't skip over ourselves and jump right to the person that we want to connect with. Because if we're not connected authentically to ourselves, if we don't know what's going on inside, the connection is not going to be authentic. And it can also cause a lot of problems. So we're going to walk through a simple practice in emotional awareness. So I'm going to ask you to think about something in your family life right now that's challenging for you. Something that's bothering you. And usually the first thing that comes to your mind is the right one. That's your intuitive knowing kicking in. So don't doubt it, whatever just came up to you. And if it wasn't family related, if it was work or something, that's fine. This works in any situation. And once you've got that in your mind, just on your paper somewhere below there in the blank spot, just jot down something that would symbolize that situation. So maybe just initials or a couple of bullets, like a couple of words, but something that you look at that and you know what situation you're referring to. code so that your partner doesn't see it's about them. So there's a reason that I'm asking you to write, and I'm going to ask you to write each step down. I'm going to have a little writing activity for you to do afterward, and it's very intentional. Writing helps anchor learning. And I believe, when someone is doing a presentation or talking, if we're going to get the most out of it and really integrate the knowing and the learning that we're doing, writing down is a really important thing. So I'm going to ask you to just not just sort of take this in passively, but really go through each step and just write down a couple of words that I ask you once we're done each one. Okay, so everybody has their challenging situation in mind and written down somehow? Okay. So now take a look at the words on the left. So these are all feelings that you would probably recognize. Withdrawn, tired, hurt, disappointed. So I'm going to ask you to look at that list and choose all of the words that you feel accurately describe how you feel about this situation right now. And don't censor, pick as many as you like. And if you don't see a word represented there that you can think of, there's an emotion, add that too. And just write them in the list below your little challenging symbol. All the feelings that you feel. Might be 3, might be 4, might be 1. Okay. So take a look at the words that you just wrote down. I just want to add something about describing our feelings, how important it is to have a vocabulary for emotions. If you're like me, you probably grew up as well with, maybe 3 or 4 emotions that were sort of named. So there was happy, sad, mad, just the basics, right? But the more we can expand our vocabulary around our feelings, the clearer we can get about what is really going on. For example, there's a big difference between feeling hurt about something and feeling disappointed about something. But both feelings of hurt and feelings of disappointment might look the same on the outside if you were just to look at someone. But if you can distinguish between the two, think of how much deeper you could go. Well, what is it that's disappointing you? Or what hurts? What happened, right? So expanding our vocabulary, and these are just a few words. I just tried to pick some of the common ones, but there are hundreds of words to describe our feelings. And the more we can learn, the more fluid we become in emotional agility. Okay, so take a look at your list of words again. And now I'm going to ask you to circle the feeling that you feel the strongest about your situation. So if you chose 3 feelings, read through those 3 feelings and choose the feeling that you feel the strongest about the situation. And again, best to go with your first instinct rather than thinking too much about it. Do it fast. And if you just chose one word, wow, you got this, you're clear, that's good. But most of us probably had a few feelings, right? Okay. Is anyone willing to read their word? Not the situation, just the word, the feeling. Anybody willing? Okay. Tired. Okay, thank you. A couple more. Anybody else? Overwhelmed. Thank you. One more.
Frustrated.
Frustrated. Thank you. Okay. And so, one important thing that we can do for ourselves is to acknowledge the feeling that we have as valid. as 100% valid. And if you grew up like most of us did, sounds like you didn't get a lot of that validation. But to just simply say to ourselves, yeah, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and that feeling is within it holding valuable information for me. It's not a feeling I need to push away, it's not a feeling I need to numb or distract myself from, but it's actually here to help me. If we could look at emotion in that way, we can really go deeper into what's really going on here. So now I'm going to ask you to look at the words on the right. You'll see the words there: rest, clarity, support, to be heard. So these are all needs that we all share. This spans across culture, gender, age, right? I don't think anyone would argue that we don't need these things. We need them. As human beings, they're universal. We all need stability at different times in our life. We all need connection. We all need to be heard. And underneath every feeling, particularly the uncomfortable ones that I have listed here, there's a need not being met. And so we're going to try to connect the feeling and the need that's sitting just underneath it. So if you look at that list, let's do the same thing we did with our feelings. I'm going to ask you to go through that list, think of your situation, think of how you feel, and ask yourself, what is it that I need to feel better? And I'd like you to choose as many as you like. If you have to choose every word on that page, that's great. So don't censor. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. All of the things that you need to help you feel better about this situation. Was anyone able to anyone pick one? Just one need? Okay. Anyone pick 5? I often find that our needs outnumber our feelings. When I'm bringing people through this exercise, we have feelings about something, and then we have probably double the needs. Okay, good. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing I asked you to do with your feelings. Now I'm going to ask you to circle the need you feel the most. What you need most in this situation, if you could prioritize. Again, go with the first word that jumps out at you. And except for this gentleman who will just go with his word. I would love to hear some of these words, if anyone's willing. Would you be willing, sir, to share your one word?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
The one side, I had uneasy.
Uneasy is your feeling, yeah?
And the other side is peace.
Peace. Thank you. Great. So I'm feeling uneasy because I need peace. Would be the complete sentence. Anybody else? Just want to share just the need, feeling and the need? Yeah, sure.
Feeling is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And what I need is time.
Time. Okay. Thanks. One more. I love feelings. Yeah, sure.
Uncertain and to matter.
I'm feeling uncertain because I need to matter, to know that I matter. Yeah. So I'd love to encourage all of you to write that sentence down. I am feeling whatever feeling you circled because I need whatever need that you circled. I'd just like you to notice if you feel any different from how you felt when I first asked you to write down something that was challenging for you. Has anything shifted for you? It can be very empowering when when nothing has changed about our external situation, so I'm guessing that nothing has been resolved for you sitting in this chair, right? You haven't changed, nothing else on the outside has changed, but our internal state, I'm going to guess, has probably changed, right? Is anybody feeling more relaxed? Is anybody feeling relieved or peaceful? Yeah. So sometimes just knowing how we feel and being able to name it, and then knowing what we need, having the language to describe that, in and of itself is an incredibly balancing practice. Nothing might change about the situation. It still might be out there unresolved. But when we can tap into this, we put ourselves in a powerful position. We put ourselves in a place of clarity. And what does clarity bring? Clarity brings confidence. And confidence is what helps to move energy. And so it also gives us space. When we have this clarity, we've created like a little bubble of space around us, and we're not feeling so overwhelmed by all these feelings and can't sort through them. We've just done that. We've just sorted through in a really systematic way. And we've created a little bit of space for ourselves. And you know what comes when space is provided is intuitive knowing. Connection with self is so much easier when we create a little bit of space around a situation. So I'm just going to ask you to go back into that center space that I asked you to go into in the beginning of the body scan. So just breathing just into our center, not forcing anything. And just give yourself just like 30 seconds of silence and just see what comes to you. Ask yourself, based on how I feel and what I need in this situation, what do I need to know? And I'm just going to ask you to write that down. I'm not going to ask anybody to share that. But if something comes to you, write it down. And just take a minute. The number of you writing. Now, all together, this practice, without me sort of chatting so much in between, it takes about 10 minutes. And I want everybody to take this card home if you felt this was useful. And I have extras if you want to bring a couple more. One on your desk, or I keep things like this up on my fridge. When I was first learning it, I had magnets of feelings all over the fridge, and the kids and I would practice using them. So whatever it is to help you practice this again, if you just give yourself a little bit of space and a little bit of time, you can save yourself a whole lot of drama and a whole lot of stress just by getting clear about how you feel and what you